Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all the participants. Welcome to the AcE 2026 Kuching Conference. Okay, I'll be your MC for today. My name is DY. And before we begin, let's start with everyone rise up to sing the national anthem.
Satu dan wujud Ramadan Tuhan muliakan Gajah kita selamat berlaku. Gajah kita selamat berkata.
Thank you for donating your beautiful voice. As I said, I'm your MC for today, and to those who has attended our conference before, welcome back. To the newcomers, welcome to our conference. And first and foremost, selamat Hari Raya. And marilah kita berdamai di Damai Beach Resort ini. Okay, and so without further ado, I give the floor for the AMER AGM 2026, starting with our
Vote. Siapa you slide vote?
opening for both. Sorry, opening for both. So, for both AMER AGM 2026 and also ACEPS 2026. Okay, start. We will start with the conference chair, Prof. Yusof. Sorry, Dr. Mohammad Yusof.
Selain untuk macam itu,
Sorry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kalau kita daripada ilahi dan dapat yang kejenanya dapat kita beri. So we were here not in this hotel, but we were in Kuching 16 years ago. That was our first 2 conferences that we did overseas. Actually, the idea of overseas tapi masih dalam negara is that to give training to our crew members how it would be like to organize conferences abroad. Jadi Kuching ni kira walaupun home ground tapi still abroad saya kena naik kapal terbang. So we wanted to feel the issues, problems and so on. So immediately after the second Kuching, pasal kita buat dua Kuching 2010, that was 16 years ago. So immediately after Kuching, our first abroad was Bandung. That one the real test lah, actual abroad kan. Lepas tu we flew to Famagusta and we never returned. Kita posing satu dunia. And then apart from ni lah, because of the COVID and so on, into that issues, so we have to do it properly lah. Okay, so a bit of history. Satu lagi to those, I already forgot it was online. Thank you very much for online and also here. Okay, thank you for attending. I think we would like to certify you all who are present for this conference a special certificate for being a real hardcore, because the hardcore followers before, are no more hardcore now because of the WOS issue. But you all who are present now, both online and offline, are really really hardcore for the conference, despite other, whether we have WOS or not. And so, give yourself a thumbs up for attending. Okay. Sorry to Prof. Lona, President, thank you very much for starting to appreciate what the conference and so cost AGM. Okay. A bit of the back to the conference, the full papers, the reviews of the full papers, we started issuing to the participants and will continue until today. We are still waiting for 2 more reviewers. Yeah, so for those who have inquired about the reviews, inshallah, you should get it today. Some of you have already received it last night, but we have started issuing it. Okay. Now, again, regarding this WOS, our first specialty was Jakarta because we were caught off guard. First, the WOS said there is no more automatic when we were doing it in Jakarta. So it's a bit unfair for us actually because they should actually warn us in advance. Okay. Anyway, we are upgrading to meet their updated criteria. Okay. Personally, I cannot give any guarantee, but looking at the criteria, we have actually almost fulfilled, and we are supposed to submit. Inshallah, we have great confidence. Although I cannot confirm, but inshallah we have full confidence that it should be WS. Okay, and hopefully with Jakarta doing WS and also inshallah Kuching, hopefully we can get back the full participant. Okay. So for this, actually, we have expected, in fact, to President, whether the participant dia tak ada lah, we come for holiday lah. But surprisingly, alhamdulillah, we've got about 18 papers, and well, that's good enough. Okay, right. MC did not get in the program, so you can just briefly help us. Yeah. Go through the program. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing is that because of the reduced participant, okay, we do not have conference dinner as per se. Because normally we do have conference dinner, and then that's where we present the certificate. Okay. Considering that we will not be getting large participants, okay, because it will affect the barbecue numbers. They need minimum 30% to dine. Okay. So we don't have the number. So we will be, when it's T will be the final presentation certificate. That also help for those who want to leave early and so on. Okay, but to those who can afford the time, we will have our conference dinner, but not buffet, more of a special a la carte conference dinner. Yeah? So to those who have actually will be attending, and hopefully those who will be attending here, please do not miss out the special a la carte dinner. Yeah? To reward you for all your week. But just to be curious, I go look for the Google map, and Garcia to actually belakang Maldives. The Garcia was almost like behind the Maldives island. And I said, oh no, not this one. If they can reach Garcia, if unfortunately the missile miss Garcia, it might hit Maldives. So I think that would be another. And also, quite sorry to hear that 2 of our Moroccan participants who participated, forgot where I was in London. Yeah.
Which one?
Moroccan, the 2 ladies. I think they are upcoming. They were supposed to present it today, face to face, because they were in touch with us. And so because they have problem with the flight tickets, as you are aware, currently flight is just like exorbitant. And also schedule, you may delay off in the transit for maybe more than 1 day. So it's very inconvenient. And now, in fact, we targeted towards the end of the year nak buat Cappadocia. Kat Turkey pun, I don't think so. With the current situation, it's quite risky lah. And also participant pun mesti berat itu. So it just happened last night. Just received email from our ISC who is actually now in Korea. Yeah, 6 months teaching there. So I just inquired whether they can co-host because Korea is actually off the Middle East area. So I think in terms of flight, they tak ticket, I think doesn't affect the flight. Cuma the tickets might be up because now okay, flight is alright. Anyway, so we are waiting for her to confirm. Okay, so if confirmed, then she will be in Korea. Okay.
Recording in progress.
If Korea is not there, so we always got our favorite Bangkok. Pasal Malaysian memang suka Malaysian like to go to Bangkok. Anyway, those are the things that we are working on. So again, thank you very much for coming. Right, Mr. MC, for your
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Yusof, for that opening ceremony. Okay, next we will move on to our AMER President, Dr. Wahana Shah.
So, forward from you two go.
Thank you, Adik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I hope you all can hear me online.
one that badu.
Redo je dah.
Cannot see you.
We can.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Sorry, a bit of problem with the camera.
so okay, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي الحمد لله إن الله بصير بالعباد. Distinguished AMER Conference Chair, Honorable Professor Dr. Mohammad Arif, respective AMER board members, online members of international scientific committees, editorial teams, fellow professors, doctors, conference participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to 14th Asia Conference on Environment-Behaviour Studies held here in Damai Beach Resort, Kuching, Malaysia. So over the years, I think AMER has continuously strived to strengthen research qualities and global collaborations. So one such effort is the Game Changer in 2021 initiative, which encouraged multinational authorship among Malaysian contributors. So this is actually one of the initiatives reflecting our commitment in enhancing the visibility and impact of our publication. So particularly in achieving recognition by reputable indexing bodies such as Scopus. So as many of you are aware, the recent changes in publication indexing policies by Clarivate Analytics effective January 2026 have actually posed new challenges to our academic community. So despite of this, we are proud that this conference has successfully attracted 22 approved extracts from authors across 13 countries with strong collaboration involving Malaysian researchers. So we are also pleased to note that these contributions span a wide range of important themes with particular focus on health and healing environments, as well as communication and social media, rural and urban environments, and legal matters. From this, we have 18 full papers have been successfully developed, reflecting and encouraging of return rate of 82%. So this is a very good percentage of converting papers into full papers. So distinguished participants, this achievement actually, although modest in numbers, reflecting resilience, commitments, and collaborative spirit of our research community. So more importantly, the signify of the continued relevance to the environment behavior studies in addressing contemporary global challenges. In our sincere hope that this conference will inspire meaningful discussion, foster new collaboration, and encourage greater participation in our future series of conference. On that note, I wish all of you a fruitful and engaging conference. With Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare 14th Asian Conference on Environment Behaviour Studies in Kuching open.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Okay, to those who just entered the room, welcome to the AcE-Bs2026 Conference. My name is Deep White and I'll be MC. Now, to those who has attended before this our conference, welcome back. To those who just attend, welcome. So okay, without further ado, I will give the floor to our breakout chair for the first session, Dr. Mohammad Arif Kamal.
Very good morning.
Good morning, Doctor. How are you?
Am I audible?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
fine.
yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. What time is it there?
Around 8:30.
8:30, yeah?
Morning. 8:30.
Oh, in the morning. Oh. Have you had your breakfast yet?
This morning. Yes.
Okay, good. So, are you ready to start, Doctor?
Yes.
Okay, the floor is yours.
I'm Dr. Mohammad Arif Kamal.
Yes, I'm an associate professor in Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh, India. And thank you, Professor Yusuf, for giving me an opportunity to for a breakout session chair for this conference, Kuching Conference 2026. So I would like to invite our first participant, uh, Abu Bakr Abdullahi, to present his research on environment behavior perspective of health vulnerability of residents in Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Abubakar Abdullahi is unavoidably absent, so I'm going to take over the presentation on his behalf for this presentation. I'm a co-presenter, so I'm
It's
going
okay.
to take over the presentation. So, do you have my slides there, or do I need to?
Yes, I have your slides. You need to
So, am I to
present.
share my? Should I share my screen, or you share the screen from over there? Am I to share
You
my
share your
screen?
screen.
No, you can share the
Yes.
screen over there. You can share the screen over there.
Okay, so me.
Yes, you can share the
Okay,
screen.
Okay. Can you see the slide? Yes.
Not yet. I haven't
Okay, give
seen
me a
it yet.
second.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Can you see it
okay,
moving, Doctor?
put it on the slide mode, full slide mode.
Yes, it is in slide mode. Can you see it moving?
And I
Not
can
yet.
see it, but I've not
Okay.
seen it moving.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, one
I
second.
think it should be in slide mode, or if you prefer me to share my screen from here.
Okay, one second. Okay, can you see it
Oh,
moving?
yes, I can see moving now. So,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start by way of introduction. I am presenting this presentation on environment behavior perspective of health vulnerability of residents in Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, next slide. The rapid urbanization has intensified environmental health and the risk associated with it in Nigeria informal settlements. From our study here, we examine the Makoko, Lagos, using environmental behavior perspective to investigate the urban health challenges. And most particularly, women experience greater vulnerability due to caregiving roles and limited healthcare access. In Lagos, particularly exemplify rapid urbanization outpacing infrastructure development in Nigerian commercial hub. And we found out that over 50% of urban population lives in slum-like conditions with substandard housing. So within our setting, our study setting, Makoko settlement houses 85,000 to 250,000 residents with inadequate infrastructure. Hence, environmental hazard became a creative and cumulative exposure to communicable diseases and public health risk. So what was our research gap? We find out that the previous studies examined environmental health that links linearly and that links linearly but ignore behavioral adaptation process that mediate vulnerability. Next slide, please. So from our literature review, we look at environment behavior framework. The environment behavior theory explained how physical settings influence daily activities and also exposure pathway that include ventilation, water storage, and waste disposal. The socio-ecological model addresses multi-level factors from individual risk perception to community sanitation practices and policy endorsement, while the health belief model examines how perception, economic limitations, and institutional trust influence behavioral responses to environmental risk. So these we put together with we looked at gender vulnerability, which recognizes women's disproportionate health risk due to caregiving roles and prolonged environmental exposure in informal settlement. So from our integrated framework that is developed from our theory, from literature background, literature review, we found out that unlike previous studies that examine housing and health as linear association, this research demonstrates that health vulnerability results from the dynamic interaction of environment behavior and structural inequality within socioeconomic or socioecological systems. Next slide, please. Okay, so from our literature review, we came up with a framework, conceptual framework. This conceptual framework looked at the various areas as dictated by theory from our literature review. We look at environmental factors such as poor housing condition, inadequate water and sanitation, flooding and pollution, and insecure living condition. And then we also look at environmental behavior theory under this environmental factor. The environmental behavior theory is what dictates, what we investigated under the environmental factor, together with socio-ecological model and health belief model, which I had mentioned in our literature review before, and the impact of this environmental factor on behavioral responses, where we now investigate and look at adaptive coping strategies of the people, water storage practices, healthcare, seeking behavior, and risk perception and belief. And then with that, we look at the mediation, the health outcome of environmental factor and behavioral responses of people, first on women, which has to do with their maternal health risk and psychosocial stress, and then on children, which had to do with the malnutrition and infectious diseases, and generally on the populace, which has to do with outbreak of cholera and respiratory illness. All this put together results and give us the feedback loop and adaptation to urban health resilience, in which we look at community-based intervention, policies and governance adaptation, and improve health and housing. Next slide, please. So in our methodology, next slide. In our methodology, the study location is at Makoko waterfront settlement with 85,000 to 250,000 residents. So we look at quantitative aspects of the data collection, which gave us about 143 valid household questionnaire via systematic random sampling. And then we also took some qualitative sampling, which involved 30 participants, including women residents and community leaders. Then we carry out some field observation, looking at housing materials, ventilation, drainage, and flood and flood markers on the people. Next slide, please. So we came up with our key findings on housing and environmental condition. The 143 value responses from our co-settlement showing widespread agreement across educational level on poor housing quality, inadequate sanitation, and insufficient housing supply. Then we look at the multi-scale health vulnerability analysis from where we saw that from environmental behavior theory, we saw the outcome of poor drainage that leads to water storage and vector breeding. This also, is connected to overcrowding that causes poor ventilation and respiratory illness. Then we also see that the climate vulnerability in this environment, in this settlement, exacerbate flood health links, requiring integrated environmental improvement and behavioral change strategies. Also, socioecological model from that perspective, we saw that individual risk perception, interpersonal gender roles, community sanitation practices, and WIP policies, enforcement are intact. So the health vulnerability here is co-produced by physical environmental conditions and behavioral adaptation mechanism within socioecological setting. Behavior acts as a mediator of the environmental risk, not just a response to it. Next slide, please. So we conclude here that urban resilience frameworks incorporating health vulnerability and climate adaptation is important and it is necessary. And our key contribution, our key finding is that health vulnerability in informal settlements result from dynamic interactions between environmental conditions, behavioral adaptation, and structural inequality within the socio-ecological systems. Chronic exposure will affect and will demonstrate risk normalization over time in vulnerable populations like women and children. The key contribution of our paper here is that the empirical validation of environmental behavior health pathway goes through mixed method evidence. The policy implication, next slide, please. So from our study, the implication in terms of the policy is that behavior-based wash is water, sanitation, and hygiene. That stands for WASH. In this initiative, we integrate water storage practices and community sanitation systems. The gender-sensitive housing strategies will address women disproportionate health vulnerability and caregiving roles. So community-based flood adaptation that incorporate local coping mechanism and environmental knowledge. And then there should also be integrated health system that connect informal healthcare provider with public health infrastructure. Now, next slide, please. Our future research direction tells us that we should look at longitudinal study that tracks household across seasons to capture climate health vulnerability cycle. Because we are not claiming that this study does not have its limitation. So in future study, we also tend to look at environmental monitoring that include water quality analysis and indoor air particulate matter assessment. Also, we can also look at comparative settlement analysis across Lagos informal areas to identify common vulnerability pathways. Then, community-based research will also embed local researchers to improve contextual accuracy and reduce response bias. So what is then the call to action? Urban resilience will require integrated approaches that combine environmental improvement with behavioral adaptation and structural inequality reduction. Thank you for listening. We are open to questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dr. Oliva Femi, for your nice presentation.
Thank you.
So, I have a very small question. Did you identify the how many diseases were there in this informal settlement? cholera
Well,
or something. Yeah.
yeah, the major diseases that we know that is associated, to the result of our studies has to do with cholera because of the waterborne, diseases and respiratory issues, which is common mostly among um, the women that are vulnerable and the children. It's also there for all other people, but it's most pronounced with this vulnerable set of population.
So two major
So
health
this,
issues you identified.
yes, these are the two major health issues, apart from other issues that are associated with the building conditions, the environmental conditions, around, the settlement.
Yes. I have like another small query. Like you took 30 participants only. Sample size for your questionnaire would have
All this,
been bit more, like might be somewhere around like 80, 90 or 100.
actually, the 30 participant was on the qualitative side. We had a larger participant in survey of about 143 participants in the
Okay.
settlement. So the
Okay.
30 the 30 participant is just on the qualitative aspect of it
Okay.
in which we cannot capture a greater percentage of the settlement. But we had a survey that covers about 143 population of the settlement.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Akande. Thank you for
Thank
your
you very much.
informative presentation.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience side? Okay, so let's move on to our next participant, and he will be presenting on environment behavior dynamics in informal settlements and health outcomes in Lagos, Nigeria. I think Professor Akende, you are also presenting the next presentation.
Yes, I'm presenting together with Professor Rohana
Rohana
Sham.
Sham.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, please continue.
Yeah. So this research is on the environment. No. This is
Yes, sir.
Yeah, environmental behavior dynamics in informal settlements and health outcome in Lagos, Nigeria. So this research will talk about how the informal settlement that will affect the health of people, some diseases that will affect the people based on the some design of the housing area for Lagos, Nigeria. So this is a joint research with a professor from Nigeria who has collected informations in Nigeria itself. So the urban growth in Laos are talking about we have rapid population growth, limited formal housing, expansion of informal settlement, and poor infrastructure. So these are all the factors affecting how these people are, living in this area of environment and the residential areas, the environment that you breathe in and out, and it will affect the diseases, the mental stress, and so on. So some of the things that the research has focused on is some of the urban growth, urban district affected, and some research are focusing on drivers of informal expansion, environmental behavior links, and some housing of health outcome. So at the end of the day, the study aims to look at how the environment behavior dynamics affect the whole things on how people react, what are the diseases, okay, what are the things that can be improved, and assess health impact and inform inclusive urban planning, which is the whole thing that we want to do. So with that, without further ado, I think I would like to pass this to Prof. Olufemi.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Rohana. Can we go to the next slides on our literature review? Yes, so on our literature review, we looked at the rapid urbanization growth that is being affected by population growth, rural urban migration, land market exclusion, and inadequate governance. So we also look at the health risk associated to this rapid urbanization, informal urbanization, which result to communicable and climate sensitive issues such as poor housing and water sanitation and hygiene issues, respiratory illness, and even malaria. The climate non-communicable issues involves the heat, the stress, and the psychosocial impact. So our study integrates informal expansion from governance perspective, environmental deficit, looking at socioeconomic position, behavioral adaptation, looking at infrastructural provision, and health outcome, which has the effect on the public systems. So from our literature review, we come out with a different research gap that we identify. One is the limited environment behavior integration. Two is the fragmented empirical methods, that are missing. And then three, we have inadequate attention to climate health risk, which affect the populace of this area. And then four, we have the weak governance impact studies. So our study is being underpinned by environmental behavior theory that look at housing quality, garbage disposal, ventilation, and sanitation. Can we go to the next slide, please? So in the next slide, we have our development of our conceptual framework, that looks at environment behavior dynamics in informal settlement and its health outcome in same Lagos, Nigeria. So we looked at informal urban expansion, built environment conditions such as housing quality, overcrowding, wash access. Remember I said wash stands for water, sanitation, and hygiene, ventilation and drainage, and waste management. Then we also look at the structural context, which has to do with the governance, the land system, the socioeconomic status. And then we look at the informal urban expansion. These are the areas where we collected our data and investigate the existing problem. The informal urban expansion, we look at population growth, housing deficit, and weak planning control. And then the moderators are the governance, socioeconomic status, infrastructural provision, length of the stay of residents in that area, and if peradventure they have any access to health care. And the health outcome we looked at, the malaria and vector-borne diseases that are prevalent in the area, the diarrhea diseases, respiratory infections, and skin infections. So all this together, they form the environmental behavior dynamics and the health outcome of the populace in our study area. Next slide, please. So in our methodology, next slide for them. Yes, in our methodology, we investigated environment behavior and how it links to health in Lagos informal settlement. In our study approach, we look at peri-urban districts, from which we were able to investigate 185 surveys that were conducted. And we carry out multi-state sampling, and then we look at purposeful community, stratified random sampling of household. Then we also took informed consent, and then we also look at interval, household. Our survey instrument was socioeconomic and demographics of the people. We looked at the built environment, of the entire area. We look at the environmental behavior and the associated risk perception. Data was collected on face-to-face interview and also survey. Together, the survey was initially piloted before we now eventually, arrive, at our final research instrument that we use to collect the data. So we see here that the built environment is linked to behavior and risk perception of the people. We analyze our data using descriptive statistics, correlation analysis, and regression modeling. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide explains our findings from our study. From our demographic profile, we see that we have diverse sample of people, which constitute 58.7% male and 41.3% female. 69.4% of the population ages between 18 to 45, and the educational and vocational, diversity was quite, widely spread. Then we also look at resident perception of informal urban housing, and we discovered from there that they had environmental issues. They pointed out to poorly drainage wastage systems, and they are also concerned about the informal expansion in the area, poor housing quality, and inadequate services, that is being provided. If you look at our table, which shows the resident perception of informal urban housing, you see the percentages of those who agree with informal settlements. They are increasing in their area. The housing structures and in the informal area are poorly constructed, and the living environment lacks proper planning and infrastructure. Informal urban expansion also contribute to overcrowding in homes over there. Then poor housing condition, also affect the household health according to how they perceive the situation. And then waste management in the area was also very poor and very inadequate. The governance overall has some deficiency in terms of the fact that there are a lot of informal urban expansion. So we look at the relationship between housing standard and public health, and we find out that in the governance aspect, there is a gap. There is a weak regulation that is linked to malaria and diarrhea. And from the health outcome, we see respiratory diseases, access to potable water was lacking, and there is poor toilet facility, and there's waste disposal and drainage issues, and air quality and ventilation were key issues that we found out that are linked to health. So invariably, we saw poor housing standard that is very strongly linked to malaria, diarrhea, skin infection, and mental health system. Next slide, please. So under our discussion, we look at the dynamic interplay of the built environment, behavior, and then health in informal settlements. So we can see here that there is need for improved WASH that will reduce disease rate, and there is psychosocial impact of density and tenant insecurity in the area. There's also a mental stress, which is notable here as outcome of instability and environmental deficiency that affect health through behavior. So we look at there is need for participatory upgrading and integrated housing health planning. This should be encouraged in the area. What is the implication of our study? If the implication of our study goes beyond the current study, there is need for holistic strategy for sustainable urban development in African cities. For instance, we need integrated planning, which will address housing, health, and behavioral needs concurrently. We also need climate resiliency, where we can adapt infrastructure and behavior to address flooding and heat exchanges because of the poor housing quality conditions. And then we also need community-led upgrading, which will foster participatory governance for sustainable behavior change and infrastructure. And then there should be public health integration into the planning, into the system, into the development, which will help disease prevention. We also prevent mental health issues and support environmental health into urban design. So next slide, please, because of our time. So in conclusion, we looked at improving health in Lagos informal settlement. Our key finding is based on environment behavior dynamics that shape health outcome. This seen in 4 areas: the WASH, that is the water, sanitation, and hygiene; the ventilation system; the waste management system; and the utilities. All this, when they are properly put together, they will reduce disease and mental stress. We recommend that under our recommendation that there should be participatory slum upgrading. There should be better governance and community planning. Behavioral change program should be developed in the area of hygiene and sanitation. And then there should be an integration of mental health services. And lastly, there should be climate resilient infrastructure that will avoid eviction in the area. What is our study limitations and future research? The limitation has to do with cross-sectional and self-reported data that we collected. We also had limited causal inferences in our studies. Our sample size and size selection limit generalizability, and the measurement issues were also seen in the case of behavioral construct. So we recommend, in order to improve this research, longitudinal design, GIS, and remote sensing. We should also collect objective data in future for anybody who wants to follow up this research. And then we also look at enhanced behavioral instrument. So what's the new direction for further research? There should be mixed method and seasonal sampling, policy and governance impact, and urban health intervention. So in conclusion, we are looking at the next slide, the contribution of our paper to related field of study. Here we have been able to, the next slide, please. We have been able to bridge environment, behavior, health, and informal settlement research. In our next slide, please. So thank you very much. So we see here theoretical integration, which applies environmental behavior theory to study housing and health challenges. Then political implication will recommend participatory upgrading, behavior change programs, and health-sensitive urban planning. And then under the methodological contribution, we combine housing health correlation behavior indicators and governance index and relative importance index ranking. And then we looked at the relevance to African urbanization. This study provides transportable framework for sustainable urban development, which will inform multidimensional discussions on environmental justice and health equity. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any question, please, you can raise your questions.
Thank you, Professor Akande. Thank you for a very comprehensive, detailed study.
You're welcome.
So, I would like to ask, did you focus more on the informal settlement, basically with reference to the housing? Because you're talking about your four major parameters: wash, ventilation, waste management, and utilities. So,
yes, exactly. That is what our
hello.
study focused on. Yes, that's exactly what our study focused on, because from our study, we found out that the rapid implication of urbanization is most pronounced among the informal settlers that constitute the largest population in Lagos, environment. Lagos used to be the initial capital of Nigerian potentials and commercial, activities that takes place there.
Okay. What's the population of Lagos?
Lagos at the moment is about 9 million people.
In total of the
Yes.
Lagos city.
Yes.
And out of this, how much is the informal settlement? What percentage is it in Lagos?
We have different informal settlements, but we looked at an informal settlement that is most pronounced in the within the Lagos metropolis. We didn't cover the entire settlement in the entire Lagos, state.
So how many informal settlement did you study? Like might be 1, 2, or 3. There might be many.
Okay. In our study here, if you look at under our study, whatever, we've studied about 4 informal settlements.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We look at Ikorodu, Ibejuleki, Badagry, and even Makoko settlements.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor Akande. Thank you. Any
Thank you
questions
very
from the audience side?
No.
I think no. Hello. Any questions from the audience side?
No.
So I shall proceed with our third presentation, and I would like to call Siti Nordiana Abdurrahman to present her research on self-reported visual clarity and its association with refractive error in school children.
So,
Siti Nordiana,
yeah, good
can we
morning.
start?
Okay, good morning to the respected chairperson and fellow researchers. My name is Siti Nordiana Abdurrahman from Center for Optometry Studies, University Technology Mara, Malaysia. So today I'm going to present to you our study titled Self-Reported Visual Clarity and its association with refractive error in school children. So this study actually investigate whether children's perception of their own visual clarity is associated with refractive error and the objective visual acuity, particularly in the context of school vision screening program. So nowadays, uncorrected refractive error remain one of the leading causes of visual impairment worldwide. And globally, about 153 million individuals aged over 5 years were visually impaired due to uncorrected refractive error. And refractive error generally occurs due to the light entering the eyes are unable to focus properly on the retina, causing blurred vision. Main types includes myopia, hyperopia, and astigmatism. So to address this issue, school-based vision screening program has been widely implemented as a public health strategy. In many large-scale screening programs, self-reported visual clarity questionnaires are used because they are rapid, simple, and cost-effective. However, the reliability of the subjective responses remain uncertain. So, based on my research, previous studies have shown mixed findings regarding the reliability of this measure. For example, research suggests that self-reported visual clarity can be influenced by functional, demographic, and health-related factors. Other study also shows that self-reported visual clarity is significantly associated with objective visual performance. However, the correlation is often only moderate. Additionally, self-reported visual clarity tend to have variable validity and reliability and higher specificity than sensitivity. Therefore, further investigation was needed to investigate this matter, especially among school children population. So, the aim of this study is to investigate the association between self-reported visual clarity and different types of refractive error among primary school children, while the objective is to determine the pattern of self-reported visual clarity across different refractive error categories and to examine its association with objective visual acuity. So as for methodology, this study employed a retrospective, cross-sectional, and descriptive design. Data were obtained from vision screening program conducted in Kuala Lumpur between 2024 and 2025. The study begins with application of anti-assumption, followed by data screening, processing, and analysis. So initially, there are about 1,000 data of primary school children. But then, following screening and processing, only 930 complete records were included for analysis. Participants were aged between 7 and 9 years old, and several instruments were used, which include the eyes and vision survey, include a question on self-reported visual clarity, visual acuity assessment at 6 meters using standardized equipment, and subjective refraction and modified psychovisual refraction to determine the refractive error. And then all the completed data were then analyzed using descriptive analysis and chi-square test for association. So from total of 930 data included for the analysis, gender distribution was almost equal with 50.1% male and 49.9% female. In terms of age, most of them were 7 years old, followed by 8 years old and 9 years old. Regarding refractive error distribution, majority of them were myopia, followed by hyperopia, while astigmatism and antimetropia were less common. And this pattern is consistent with the global trend of childhood refractive error. So as you can see here, although most of the participants were found to have refractive error, most of them reported that they are able to see clearly. And the proportion reporting clear vision was higher among younger age group. And additionally, when we have a look at the visual acuity, before and after correction, there are substantial visual improvement following correction, where initially, more than half of the participants had non-optimal visual acuity 69 hours. But then, following correction, over 90% of them are able to obtain visual acuity 6/9 and better. And then further analysis shows that self-reported visual clarity is significantly associated with age, presence of refractive error, particularly myopia, and presenting visual acuity or objective visual acuity. So as for age, interestingly, older children are more likely to report poor visual clarity. This can be explained due to several factors. First, academic visual demands increases with age. So requiring more sustained work such as reading and writing. So those at 9 years old are more aware of their visual deficit compared to younger age group. Second, refractive error progression often develop during school years. Therefore, those at 9 years old might have a greater magnitude of refractive error, a higher myopia, for example, compared to 7 years old. So similarly, they are more aware of their visual deficit. And then in contrast, younger children are more likely to report clear vision, which may reflect visual adaptation or a lower visual demand. Next, children with refractive error, particularly myopia, are more likely to report poor visual clarity. This is expected due to functional impact on vision, because in myopia, the image is focused in front of the retina, and there is no optical system that can bring back the image to focus on the retina, causing blurred vision. However, in hyperopia, the image is focused behind the retina, and our eye muscles can bring back the image focused on the retina, resulting in clear vision. So, some hyperopic children may still report clear vision despite having refractive error. Another key findings include visual acuity. Children with visual acuity 6/9 or worse are more likely to report poor visual clarity. However, a substantial number of children still report clear vision despite having measurable visual deficit. So therefore, this highlights the limitation of depending solely on the subjective response. Children may adapt to the blurred vision or simply unaware that their vision is actually not normal. So in conclusion, this study shows that self-reported visual clarity shows only partial agreement with the objective visual measure. While it provides useful information, it should not replace objective clinical assessment. Instead, it should be used as a complementary measure in vision screening. So future studies might consider longitudinal studies toward the development of standardized pediatric self-report tools, particularly in the Southeast Asian population. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Siti Nordiana. Thank you. Thank you for your informative presentation. So, will you make some final recommendation?
Final recommendation. Okay, so from
Yes.
this study, we can see that self-reported visual clarity is associated but only partial agreement with objective visual measure. So we recommend that vision screening use combined approach, both subjective and objective clinical assessment, to make sure that we did not miss those who actually have vision problem.
Thank you, Siti Nordiana. Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Are there any questions from the audience side?
No questions.
No questions. Okay. So I would like to invite our next participant, Izza Insriya Muhammad Jihadi, to present his research on impact of refractive errors on visual acuity and academic performance among school children.
Okay, good morning to the respected chairperson and fellow researchers. My name is Izza Insriya and I'm from Center for Optometry Studies, University Technology Mara, Malaysia. And today I'll be presenting on our studies on the impact of refractive errors on visual acuity and academic performance among school children. But before that, let me begin with a simple question. What if the reason of a children struggling in classroom is not because they don't understand, but because they simply cannot see it well? In today's rapidly evolving educational landscape, vision is an essential, yet often overlooked for its component of a child's ability to learn effectively. Refractive errors are one of the most common eye problems worldwide, Globally, uncorrected refractive errors are one of the leading causes of visual impairment, yet they are easily detectable and easily correctable. Vision plays a significant role in learning. In fact, about 80% of the classroom learning relies on vision, such as looking at the printed materials, screen, and also doing homeworks. In Asia, especially Southeast Asia, the prevalence of refractive errors is rising rapidly. About half of the world's population will be affected by 2050. So what exactly are refractive errors? In simple terms, refractive errors is when the eye is unable to focus the light properly on the retina. So there are three common vision problems, such as the first one is myopia, short-sightedness, where you can see near objects clearly but far objects blurry. Hyperopia, where you can see far objects clearly but reading or doing near works blurry. For astigmatism, blurry and distorted vision at all distances. Just imagine like camera where where it's blurry, you cannot see the image clearly. So high prevalence in school children. School vision screenings report high rates of refractive error among primary school children. There is limited recent local data and it is outdated, where most detailed study in Gombak conducted in 2003. There are several factors that may have influenced the current prevalence, such as increased screen time, urban lifestyle, and also higher academic demands. So for the aims and objective for this study is to evaluate the trend in refractive errors and their effect on vision improvement before and after spectacle correction. And the second one is to investigate changes in academic performance, also before and after receiving vision correction across 4 key subjects. And the last one is to inform evidence-based screening practices and improve early intervention in school environment. Previous studies show that a highly prevalence among refractive error among school children. For example, a study in Changsha Preschool reported that a higher prevalence in astigmatism and hyperopia, while at the same year, local study showed that myopia was the most prevalent refractive error. Additionally, previous study shows that poor vision can negatively impact educational, and simple spectacle correction can improve academic outcomes and also academic performance. So we conducted a quantitative retrospective observational study where a data from school vision screening program in randomly selected public primary schools Kuala Lumpur. Participants involved school children aged 7 to 9 years old, which complete before and after spectacle correction visual acuity records. Approximately 40% of the sample size were randomly selected for academic performance analysis. So visual acuity were measured before and after spectacle correction for each eye, and it's categorized as myopia, hyperopia, and also astigmatism. The academic performance then assessed using tahap penguasaan levels, which higher TP levels indicate a better academic performance across 4 subjects. The data then analyzed by using SPSS for descriptive statistic for demographic statistic, prevalence, and also academic performance, while PET sample t-test to examine differences in visual acuity before and after the spectacle correction. So for the findings, a total of 648 primary school children were included in this study. In terms of gender distribution, 52.5% were male and 47.5% were female, which indicate that nearly equal of the gender distribution. For the age distribution, 7-year-old were majority and followed by 8 and 9 years old. Distribution of refractive error, myopia was the most prevalent refractive error at 64%, followed by hyperopia 28.5% and astigmatism at 7.5%. So before I explain about the academic, before I explain about this finding, it is crucial to note that we use logMAR visual acuity, which lower values indicate better visual clarity. So as we can see from here, a bar height is lower after receiving spectacles that indicate improvement after receiving spectacles compared to before receiving spectacles across different refractive error groups in both eyes. For the visual acuity improvement with academic performance, excitingly, there is improvement in academic performance after receiving spectacles, where students shifted from lower TP levels to a higher TP levels. Lower TP levels is TP1 to TP3, while higher TP levels is TP4 and TP6. For simple terms, we can see that when the children can see better, they also can perform in academic performance better. So for the discussion, from our study, 64% prevalence of refractive errors, which is MIOP, is higher than our earlier Malaysian studies, which is National Eye Survey, reported lower prevalence of refractive error, while 47.8% prevalence from urban study. So what might be the possible contributing factors? So we can see there is reduced outdoor activities, increased screen time, urbanization, and higher academic demands that may lead to a higher prevalence of refractive errors nowadays. So it is not just because of the eye issue, but it also because of the public health and also lifestyle issue. So to conclude, myopia was the most prevalent refractive error among primary school children in Kuala Lumpur, and spectacle correction significantly improved visual acuity. Improved vision was associated with better academic performance. So for the implication, early school vision screening and also timely spectacle correction are essential to support both visual health and also educational development. For the future research, long-term studies are needed to further explore the causal relationship between vision correction and academic outcomes. With that, that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammad Arif, for the informative presentation on visual acuity and academic performance. So what was the sample size for your study?
For the sample size for this study, it involved 648 primary school children across selected public primary school children across Kuala Lumpur.
So how many schools?
It involved around 5 schools.
5 schools. So did you again make any some policy framework or recommendations for your study?
For the recommendation for this study,
Final
for the final recommendation for this study is to imply. Can I get back to this slide?
Sorry.
The last slide.
Left side. So,
Okay. So for the recommendation, I suggest that the early school vision screening and also For the recommendation, we recommend for early school vision screening and timely spectacle correction are essential in every school children so that they can support both visual health and educational development. Since nowadays, school children doesn't report whether they have any visual problems. So early school vision screening at school, very important.
Okay, thank you, Iza.
Okay, thank you so much.
Are there any questions or queries from the audience side?
no.
None. Okay. So we move for our next participant to present. She is Nuruliza Mahfar to present
Okay.
her study on impact of digital health on dementia caregivers, knowledge, attitude, and practice. A systematic review.
Yeah. Yeah. Sekejap.
Over to Nurul.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, try.
Mhm.
Yang atas tu previous, yang bawah tu
Oh.
yes. Okay.
So boleh start gambar kat kamera, okey ke tak?
Ke kiri sikit.
Ke kiri sikit.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Prof? Okay, alright. Assalamualaikum and good morning, Prof. First, Assalamualaikum and good morning, Prof. and everyone. My name is Nurul Izzah Mafar. I am from Department of Public Health, University Technology Mara, Sungai Buloh Campus, Malaysia. And with the other authors, Associate Professor Dr. Nina Aaron Abdullah and Dr. Dalila Roslan, also from University Technology Mara, Sungai Buloh Campus, Malaysia. And Dr. Marisa Shabitri Dilaga from Public Health Department, Mataram University, Indonesia. The title of our presentation for today is The Impact of Digital Health on Dementia Caregivers' Knowledge, Attitude and Practice, a Systematic Review. This is the background of my study. Nowadays, worldwide, we are facing dementia caregiving challenges. Data from WHO have shown that in 2020, there were 55 million people living with dementia globally, and the number is expected to triple by 2050. Data from World Alzheimer Report also has reported that in 2015, it was estimated 46 million people living with dementia worldwide, and the number is expected to increase to 74 million in 2030 and further increase to 131 million in 2050 as a result of better health services and better health awareness that makes people's lives longer. And people living with dementia has cognitive, functional and behavioral disability that makes them dependent on the caregiver, which is provided largely by their family members. And the family members are informal caregivers and they are lack of proper and formal training and support. Literature reviews have shown that there were gaps occur in knowledge, attitude and practice among informal caregivers. Why digital intervention? Nowadays, with the advancement of technology and digital intervention something is that can be accessible anytime, anywhere. It can save cost, save money. It should be utilized to help to assist dementia caregivers. So as one of the support for the caregivers, because it could deliver education, skills training, and also emotional support. Okay, and literature reviews have shown that conducted from studies in many countries worldwide, digital intervention has potential to improve knowledge, attitude, and practice outcome. So this objective of this systematic review is to synthesize evidence on the impact of digital health intervention on three aspects: knowledge, attitude, and practice among informal caregivers of people living with dementia. So based on the KAP, Knowledge Attitude Practice Model by Bano et al. In 2013, these three components are interrelated. Knowledge is something that we know or we understand, and it is interrelated with attitude, what we believe and what we are aware, and both of these are interrelated with practice, what we do, and the action, how we react in doing something. So it is interrelated. So the methodology of my systematic review is following the PRISMA 2020 guideline, the preferred reporting items of systematic review and meta-analysis. It has been registered in Prospero for systematic review. So it follows the PRISMA flow diagram from identification, screening, eligibility, assess, and also inclusion of the studies included. So all the studies were searched from 5 major databases, including PubMed, Scopus, Cochrane, Science Direct, and ECM Digital Library. Okay, this is the study selection. The eligibility criteria following the PCOS framework, Population, Intervention, Comparators, Outcome, and Study Types. For the population, it involves informal dementia caregivers, means informal is the family caregivers, age 18 and above. Intervention of any digital intervention. Comparators include usual care, no intervention, and non-digital intervention. Outcomes, at least one outcome related to either knowledge, attitude, practice, whether it is quantitative or qualitative. Study types involve randomized control trial, quasi-experimental, pre-post studies, qualitative, and mixed method. So from the identification of the studies via databases, so records identified were 1,928 from the 5 major databases. However, 352 were removed due to duplicates. Out of that, 1,576 were screened and 1,425 were removed because it is not related with the topics. 151 records were sought for retrieval and assessed for eligibility. However, 144 were excluded because 38 studies were involved formal dementia caregivers, 44 non-digital intervention, and 62 studies were not assessed KAP outcome. In final, 7 studies included in this review. So types of digital intervention platforms assessed in the included study include web-based training portals, virtual education programs, mobile application, and also e-learning courses. Okay, for the result, all the included 7 studies were assessed using the EPHPP tool, Effective Public Health Practice Project tools, to assess the quality, in which out of 7 studies, the global rating 4 out of 7 or 57% has moderate rating, while 3 out of 7 studies or 43% have weak quality rating. And the strengths of those studies involve strong data collection methods and low dropout. However, there were limitations in which most studies have lack of blinding and has heterogeneous outcome measures. It means it's not focused on KAP outcomes. They also focus on other outcomes like stress, depression, self-efficacy, quality of lives of the caregivers. So this is the included study. The first study by Harting B et al. 2015. It is a randomized control trial. The intervention assessed were a STAR skill training rescreening e-learning course, a web-based training portal. This study has shown significant improvement in caregivers' attitude. Second study by Salehinijad 2024. It is a randomized control trials. The intervention involved was a Persian web-based platform. This platform has shown significant improvement in dementia caregivers' knowledge and attitudes. Third study by Turnbull 2024. It was a quasi-experimental study assessing the smart caregivers mobile apps, and this app has shown significant improvement in caregivers' dementia knowledge. Fourth study by Noel 2022. It was a pre-post studies assessing the effectiveness of interactive virtual caregiver education program. It has shown virtual program has shown significant increase in caregiver knowledge and ability to manage dementia-related behavior. Fifth study by Ashida 2024. It was a pre-post studies assessing the effectiveness of dental aging tip web-based mobile apps. It has shown significant improvement in caregivers' knowledge, attitude, and skills in providing oral care. Sixth study by Kagwa 2024. It was a qualitative study assessing the effectiveness of mobile app-based support program. It has shown improvement in caregivers' knowledge, awareness, and self-care management. The seventh study by Lewis et al. 2010. It was a mixed method study assessing the effectiveness of internet-based savvy caregiver program. This study has shown improvement in caregivers' knowledge, understanding, and confidence in dementia caregiving. So in conclusion, digital health intervention have shown promising benefits and effectiveness in improving informal caregivers' knowledge and attitudes. Studies have shown improvement in practice, but they were less consistent because some studies showed improvement in confidence in dementia caregiving, some shows improvement in skills in oral care, some shows improvement in managing dementia-related behavior, but not the dementia caregiving practice as a whole. Nevertheless, digital intervention should be utilized to assist the informal dementia caregivers because of the benefits of easy accessibility, saving money, saving time, and it should complement formal dementia care services. And further research should focus more on intervention study with more rigorous study design methodology and more focused outcome. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.
Lisa, thank you
Welcome.
for your study on dementia caregivers, attitude, practice, and knowledge. So, I would like to see more about the complications of dementia patients and how uh, the mobile app and web-based study would like correlate with the dementia caregivers. Okay. How would it enhance the knowledge of caregivers for the dementia patient?
Okay. Okay.
Did
So.
you get that question, Lisa?
Yes. Because the volume is not so good. Can you repeat again, Prof, the question?
So, like, I would love to see the complications of dementia patients. Okay. So, before starting about, we should be talking about a little more about dementia and what complications do dementia patients have, and how this digital intervention, how would you synthesize the knowledge, attitude, and practice of dementia caregivers?
Okay. Okay, sure, Prof. Okay, thank you for the question, Prof. So as we know that dementia complication among dementia patient range depends on the severity, whether it is mild, moderate, or severe dementia, and also type of okay, and types of dementia, whether it is Alzheimer, Lewy body, or mixed dementia, and so on. So the complication in patients varies between one patient and to one patient. So because of when the literatures have shown that most caregivers have poor to moderate level of knowledge, attitude, and practice. So that makes them difficult to handle the complication of dementia patient. Therefore, they will become stressed, burdened, and affect the well-being and quality of life of both the people living with dementia and the caregivers. That's why when we have the apps or the digital intervention, whether it's a virtual program and so on, so it can help them to convey the message, to convey the information, to improve their knowledge and understanding about dementia, to foster their attitudes to become more positive, and to improve their practice and skills and competency in managing people with dementia. Prof.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
I'm welcome, Prof.
Very good study. Any questions from the audience?
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Professor. This you are the last participant, so I wish them very good luck for their future research. And all the participants have done very good research. Their findings are good. Very related to the conference. Thank you so much for inviting me to the breakout chair.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Dr. Arif Kamal from India. Thank you so much for spending your time to chair the first breakout session.
Thanks, Arif.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Professor Yusuf.
How's the situation in your country?
It's fine, good.
So no bomb, yeah? No missile?
No bomb. No bomb. And a little bit of like LPG shortage.
Energy shortage?
Yeah, LPG gas shortage.
So we cannot drive the car,
Yeah.
So expensive.
You have become a bit costlier. Cooking gas.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can pay.
Yeah.
I will. When will you co-host our conference? In India?
Yes, because I'm not very I'm going to switch from one university to another university. So, and here people are not very eager or to manage such kind of events. Hopefully, I can try. I can collaborate with some universities from here. Yeah, maybe in South India will be better. Yeah, South India is better.
Dari Chennai, Hyderabad.
So, second, teacher.
How are you, Dr. Prof? How are you? I'm wishing good health.
Alhamdulillah, I see teaching, alhamdulillah.
You're a bit weak.
Yeah. Yeah, big exhausted, yeah. Trying to-
Yeah, hope everything is fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you so much.
Okay, can I have a round of applause please for Dr. Okay, once again, thank you so much, Prof. I hope you enjoy your lunch, dinner, breakfast. I don't know what time is it now.
Pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see you again next time. Inshallah in the future.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, now finally we ended the first breakout session, and once again I apologize due to the condition of this room. Yeah, I know it's hotter than sauna. Okay, so the photo session will be at 10:40 p.m. However, for the breakout session 2, we will move to the course. Casuarina. Yeah, the big hall.
Just click on.
Huh?
From the guy to just click on.
Yeah, for the K2 just stay on. Okay? Okay. So,
Okay, just to remind, although we changed the room, but the link still maintained.
yeah,
The Zoom link is still maintained.
Okay.
This for the benefit of the online participants.
right. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So, while you guys wait for the photo session, wait, keluar bagi skip.